In every crime, there's a reflection. A motive hidden in plain sight. A truth distorted by silence. Welcome to the Forensic Mirror, where psychology meets evidence, and every case reveals more than just what happened, it reveals why. Welcome back, truth seekers. You're now tuned into the Forensic Mirror, where shadows speak and silence is never innocent. Each week, we peel back the layers of guilt, decode the psychological fingerprints, and stare straight into the eyes of calculated chaos. This isn't just true crime. It's truth, dissected. Madness, mapped. And justice, relentlessly pursued. Please don't forget to follow, so you will know when I drop another crime episode. Also, head over to Conversations with Impact, which is another Spotify podcast of mine, where I talk about any and everything. Thanks to all. Episode 9, Jeffrey Dahmer, The Making of a Serial Killer. Welcome back to the Forensic Mirror. Today I will be diving into another chilling case in modern criminal history. This episode examines the psychological and developmental origins of Jeffrey Dahmer, one of America's most notorious serial killers, whose crimes in Milwaukee from 1978 to 1991, involving murder, necrophilia, and cannibalism. The narrative explores Dahmer's troubled family life, early childhood trauma, and adolescent obsessions with decay and control, tracing how these factors contributed to his evolution from a withdrawn child to a methodical killer. The case further highlights institutional failures that allowed Dahmer's pathology to escalate unchecked, providing a complex portrait of the making of a serial killer. Stay tuned while we get started.
Caution. Warning. The following content involves discussions of graphic crimes, including murder, necrophilia, and extreme violence. The interview contains disturbing descriptions of human remains and the psychological motivations behind heinous acts. This material may be deeply upsetting. Viewer discretion is strongly advised. Warning. 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 Warning.
The case of Jeffrey Lionel Dahmer remains a seminal study in the fields of forensic psychology, criminal pathology, and urban sociology. Recognized by history as the Milwaukee Cannibal or the Milwaukee Monster, Dahmer's criminal trajectory represents a unique intersection of extreme paraphilic disorders, profound social alienation, and the catastrophic failure of municipal oversight. Between 1978 and 1991, Dahmer murdered and dismembered 17 men and boys, primarily in Milwaukee, Wisconsin, and Bath, Ohio, engaging in acts of necrophilia and cannibalism that challenged the prevailing understanding of homicidal motivation. His evolution from a socially withdrawn adolescent to a methodical serial killer was not a sudden rupture but a protracted descent shaped by developmental trauma, escalating substance abuse, and a series of missed interventions by judicial, military, and educational institutions. The genesis of Jeffrey Dahmer's psychological dysfunction can be traced to a complex interplay of family instability, biological vulnerability, and early childhood trauma. Born on May 21, 1960, in Milwaukee, Wisconsin, to Lionel and Joyce Dahmer, Jeffrey's early infancy was described as relatively normal. However, the family's frequent relocations mirrored the escalating marital discord between his parents. Lionel Dahmer's career as a research chemist often kept him away, while Joyce Dahmer struggled with severe hypochondria, depression, and dependency on medications like Equinil. A pivotal moment occurred when he was 4 years old, following a surgical procedure to correct a double hernia. Post-operative observations noted a profound shift. The previously outgoing child became notably withdrawn and isolated. Criminological analysis suggests this medical trauma, which Dahmer later speculated made him feel as though his genitals had been removed, may have served as the catalyst for his subsequent preoccupation with physical control. By age 10, Dahmer was collecting roadkill and using acid to strip meat from the bones of dead animals. In high school, his alienation manifested in bizarre attention-seeking behaviors known among his peers as doing a Dahmer. These antics included simulating epileptic seizures or cerebral palsy in school hallways and local stores, often performed for money to purchase alcohol. Despite this, he excelled in biology and once convinced a teacher to let him take home the head of a baby pig he had dissected in class. By age 14, Dahmer's inner life was dominated by fantasies involving the control of a submissive male partner. At age 16, he made a premeditated attempt to actualize these fantasies by lying in wait in bushes with a baseball bat for a local jogger, intending to render him unconscious. Dahmer's first murder occurred on June 18, 1978, 3 weeks after his high school graduation. He picked up 18-year-old Stephen Hicks, who was hitchhiking to a rock concert, and lured him home with the promise of beer. When Hicks attempted to leave, Dahmer bludgeoned him with a 10-pound dumbbell and strangled him to death. He later admitted to masturbating over the corpse before dissecting it in the basement. Following a failed semester at Ohio State University due to alcoholism, Dahmer enlisted in the U.S. Army in 1979. Trained as a medical specialist at Fort Sam Houston, his service was marked by persistent intoxication. He was reportedly beaten by fellow soldiers after his entire platoon was punished for his insubordination. Stationed in West Germany with HHC 268 Sama, his performance deteriorated until he was discharged in 1981 as unsuitable for military service due to alcohol abuse.
No one had a clue as to what was happening for over a decade.
During that time, Jeffrey Dahmer joined the Army and was sent to Germany. He was eventually discharged for a drinking problem and returned to Ohio. 9 years after Stephen Hicks' murder, the killing began again.
What happened to you in the 9 years in between that you were able to stop, that you were able to control yourself?
There just wasn't an opportunity to fully express what I wanted to do.
Before we continue, please don't forget to follow and share. And thank you all for listening. Now, let's get back to this episode.
In May 1990, Dahmer moved into apartment 213 at the Oxford Apartments. Here, his methodology evolved into experimental lobotomies and cannibalism. He admitted to seasoning human hearts, biceps, and livers with salt and pepper before consuming them, stating he wanted his victims to become a part of me. Dahmer planned to construct a shrine or temple in his living room, intended to serve as a meditative space for his sexual fantasies. Forensic evidence and sketches revealed he intended to flank a black table with human skeletons and display bleached skulls highlighted by globes of light. At the time of his arrest, investigators found a 55-gallon blue plastic drum containing 3 human torsos in acid, and a filing cabinet containing 2 skulls and a complete skeleton. They also found 4 intact human heads, and a severed head was stored in the refrigerator, alongside a frozen human heart.
He became so warped by his evil impulses that he even took a victim's head with him to work at the Ambrosia chocolate factory.
I kept the mummified head and skull of one of the victims in a carrying case in my locker at work.
Were you almost flaunting it?
Yes, but that's how strong the compulsion was. That's how bizarre the desire was. I wanted to keep something of the person with me.
Jeffrey Dahmer exhibited some disturbing behavior early on. He began drinking heavily as a teenager, dropped out of college, was arrested for indecent exposure, disorderly conduct, and fondling a 13-year-old boy. Tragically, one of his murder victims would be that boy's brother.
The case reached its tragic point on May 27, 1991, with the murder of 14-year-old Konorak Synthesomphone. The younger brother of the boy Dahmer had S.A.D. in 1988. Despite being found naked and bleeding in the street by bystanders, Milwaukee police officers John Balchazak and Joseph Gabrish returned the boy to Dahmer's apartment, dismissing the situation as a domestic squabble between homosexuals. Dahmer murdered the boy within an hour of the officer's departure. Dahmer was captured on July 22, 1991, after Tracy Edwards escaped his apartment. On January 13, 1992, Dahmer changed his plea to guilty but insane, shifting the burden to the defense to prove he suffered from a mental disease that prevented him from conforming his conduct to the law. The defense, led by Gerald Boyle, argued. Dahmer was a sick man suffering from necrophilia. They highlighted his bizarre obsession with the Emperor from Return of the Jedi, claiming he wore yellow contact lenses to emulate the character's power. Prosecution experts, including Dr. Park Elliott Dietz, argued he was highly organized, noting his use of condoms to avoid AIDS as evidence of rational forethought. In a 1994 interview with Stone Phillips, Dahmer confirmed his primary motive was a fear of abandonment, stating he wanted to keep them with me as long as possible. The sentencing featured intense emotional testimony. Rita Isbell, sister of Errol Lindsay, famously rushed toward Dahmer, screaming, "I hate you. Whatever your name is, Satan."
One woman in particular really got angry. What did you think when she was doing that?
I couldn't blame her a bit. I'm surprised there wasn't more of that.
What do you want to say to the families of the victims?
I had no intention of hurting them. I was extremely selfish. I was only thinking of myself, my own pleasure, my own perverted desires.
You know the families of the victims don't believe in your conversion or your sorrow.
Oh, right.
Dahmer was sentenced to 16 consecutive life terms, totaling over 900 years.
While in the Columbia Correctional Institution, Dahmer taunted inmates by molding prison food into body parts and applying ketchup to mimic blood. In May 1994, he was baptized by Roy Ratcliffe, expressing remorse and a desire for spiritual redemption. Dahmer was murdered on November 28, 1994, by inmate Christopher Scarver. In a 2015 interview, Scarver revealed he was disgusted by the details of Dahmer's crimes. Scarver confronted Dahmer with a newspaper clipping detailing his acts. When Dahmer attempted to walk away, Scarver bludgeoned him with a metal bar from the weight room, later stating, "God told me to do it." Scarver maintained that prison staff deliberately left them unsupervised to facilitate the killing. Evidence and subsequent investigations suggest that racial and homophobic biases significantly influenced the Milwaukee Police Department's MPD handling of the disappearances and their interactions with potential victims. Systemic indifference and racial bias. In a 1994 report by the Wisconsin Advisory Committee to the U.S. Commission on Civil Rights concluded that the MPD had manifested a police culture that was unsympathetic and even antagonistic in its dealings with minority communities for over 2 decades. Critics and community members argued that because the majority of the victims were poor, gay, and men of color, specifically Black, Asian, and Latino, the police attached a low priority to their families' reports of missing persons. This criminal indifference allowed Dahmer to continue his killings largely undetected for 13 years. In the Conorack synthesomphone incident, the most documented instance of this bias occurred when 3 Black women, Sandra Smith, Tina Spivey, and Nicole Childress, found the boy naked and bleeding in the street and called for help, but the responding officers, John Balchazak and Joseph Gabrish, dismissed their concerns. The officers told the Black witnesses to shut the hell up and accepted the word of Dahmer, a white man, who claimed the 14-year-old was his 19-year-old lover. Audio tapes later revealed the officers making homophobic jokes to their dispatcher about reuniting the lovers after they personally escorted the drugged child back into Dahmer's apartment. By labeling the encounter a domestic squabble between homosexuals, the officers failed to check Dahmer's identification, which would have revealed his 1988 conviction for essaying Conorack's older brother. The synthesomphone family eventually received an $850,000 settlement from the city of Milwaukee over the police's handling of the situation. While the officers were initially fired for gross negligence, they were reinstated in 1994 with full back pay, a decision that sparked further public outcry regarding the lack of accountability and the protections afforded by qualified immunity. The case is frequently cited in criminological research as a catastrophic example of how institutional racism and homophobia can prevent law enforcement from protecting vulnerable populations. The narrative of Jeffrey Dahmer serves as a forensic map of social and institutional collapse, highlighting the critical importance of systemic vigilance in protecting marginalized communities.
Jeffrey Dahmer's father and stepmother Sherry say when he was in trouble in the past, they tried to get him help. They were as shocked as everyone else to hear about his secret life.
The pain is watching the families having to sit there and listen to the gory details. And yet, what do we say to these families out there who don't even have the child to bury in many cases? Such a tragic waste. And we can't do anything about it.
They say around them, Jeffrey Dahmer acted as if nothing was wrong.
Before I ask you all some questions, I want to show you all some more clips of this documentary. I want you all to remember that the questions that I will ask at the end are meant to encourage you all to reflect on the racial, social, and institutional factors that may have contributed to the tragedies of the victims and the police's lack of intervention.
The boy woke up while Jeffrey was gone. He was naked and disoriented from the drugs. He stumbled out of the apartment and into the street. Neighbors tried to help the boy and saw bruises on his body. Although Dahmer stated he did not know it at the time, the boy was Conarac Synthesymphone, the brother of the boy Dahmer had been arrested for fondling in 1988.
Okay, hi, I'm on 25th and State, and this is young man. He is butt naked. He has been beaten up. He is very bruised up. He can't stand. He's study fall out. He is butt naked. He has no clothes on. He was really hurt. And I ain't got no cord on him. I just seen him, and he needs some help.
Where is he at?
On 25th and State, the corner of 25th and State.
Walked up to the authorities and lied. He told the police he and Conarac were lovers who had had a fight. He laughed and said Conarac had acted this way before when he had had too much to drink. The officers went back to the apartment where Dahmer showed them some pictures of Conarac and himself. Police later reported that Conarac tried to speak in a slurred Asian dialect, but was unintelligible. The officers noticed an odd smell in the apartment, but did not investigate. If they had gone into the bedroom, they would have stumbled across Tony Hughes' decomposing body. Had they run Jeffrey Dahmer's name through police computers, it would have told them he was still on probation for a sex crime. Back at the squad car, they chuckled about the unique domestic disturbance.
The intoxicated Asian naked male was returned to his sober boyfriend, and we're at 8.
Dahmer later confessed that moments after the officers left, he strangled Conarac and had sex with the body. It ignited the gay and minority communities into weeks of rallies, vigils, and protests over police insensitivity.
It's nice that you suspended the people, but we don't want anybody suspended. We want to be treated with dignity.
So, to my listeners and/or viewers, do you guys believe that the actions of the Milwaukee Police Department in the case of Conarac Synthesymphone and the other victims were influenced by racial or homophobic bias? Do you guys think the officers failed to do more to help the victims, especially after being alerted by concerned bystanders? And, do you guys believe that the victims' identities, being people of color, immigrants, and part of the LGBTQ+ community, played a role on how the police handled the situation? In my opinion, I believe that the outcome would have been different if the police would have taken the witnesses' concerns seriously and properly verified Dahmer's background, because it could have saved this little boy's life and the others after him.
Thank you, listeners, for listening. I would love to hear any feedback or comments, or what you would like to hear about next. Please don't forget to follow and share. Until next time, my Forensic Mirror fans.